mi gente, how goes it? Welcome to the latest episode of Château Bow Wow. My name is Geraldo Jose Oscar and I am here with my awesome guest, the super talented actor and director, Oscar Torre. Oscar, please tell us a little something about yourself.
Thank you for that intro.
Excellent. Man, a few words.
Man, a few words. That's all I have to say. Bye.
Can you listen? Well, we've become super friendly since we met in Miami at a Union
de Reyes. Yeah. Danny Pino's film.
Yeah, and that was an excellent film, which I thought should have been a feature. You guys were excellent. You guys killed it, and I left that theater wanting more.
Man, I appreciate that. I'll tell Danny. Danny that you said that.
Yeah, it was excellent, man. But you got your own thing going on now. You're having your films coming out. I think, what is it, A Hot Summer Night is coming out. It was on Amazon already. How long did that take to go from Amazon to Tubi?
From Amazon to Tubi, it started on Amazon and Google Play. It came out November, and then January 5th, it came out on Tubi, which obviously Tubi is a lot more accessible to people because it's free. On Amazon, you got to pay.
Yeah.
It's great. But
it's fantastic.
Free, it's free.
Yeah, but you obviously get more views that way as well.
On Tubi, yeah. A lot more people have seen the film, and the response has been incredible right from the beginning, which was a big surprise because it was a little film that we shot during COVID.
It was amazing. And what I liked about that film is that, if you just look at, I guess, because your wife was cast as the
Trudy too, played the lead.
Yeah, and she was amazing. But it went into many different things again, she was on the computer, she was doing therapy, and she's doing all kinds of, again, speaking to different, I'll let you introduce it.
You made her sound like a therapist, which she was. But, and that's kind of part of the surprise of the film. She plays stripper, a sex worker during COVID. COVID hits, and she decides to start doing Zoom sessions.
Right.
Meeting her clients from the club on Zoom. Right. But the film takes place during 24 hours of her life. And, films are made about incidents that define your life.
Right.
It's not everyday life. And this day in her life, her mom has cancer, and she just got into an experimental treatment. But she needs to make X amount of money to be able to send her mom in the next 24 hours. So it's running against time, basically, to make this money to be able to save her mom's life, basically. But the film is a lot more than just that. It's about the people her clients, and what they're going through. And you said therapist. She ends up, what I found that I didn't know going into the film was doing the research, and the research that my wife Trudy too did to play the lead is that when these people go to clubs, it's not, you think it's about the nudity or, the dancers. Of course, that's the attraction. That's what gets you in. Mm-hmm. But the people that keep coming back, a lot of them are about the connections, the conversations, the disconnecting from something. When COVID happened, these people had nowhere to go. People who go to bars or clubs or coffee shops. And she ends up being a therapist to them. She's going through her own turmoil and her own troubles, but she finds herself hearing their stories as well in the next 24 hours. And that's why the thing that kept coming up when we were doing research was, no, they're like therapists. And I talked to a lot of people who go to clubs and goes, yeah, I like to talk to dancers. I'm not being judged. They don't judge me. I'm not judging them. A lot of people told me. And I tell them about my problems, and it just makes me feel good when I leave. I'm like, wow, never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Was it unintentional? Because when I watched it, and I kind of felt you guys tapped into a whole different thing that was almost unintended about the human connection. People just needed to be around other people by some way or another.
Well, that's what the movie was about.
Yeah.
When I started writing this film, that's the story I wanted to tell. It was about the human connection, about isolation that we were all going through during COVID. And I wanted to capture that moment in time without knowing how the film was going to end. Because when we were filming, COVID was going on. We didn't know how it would end. The vaccines weren't even around. So the film is very much about that. But I needed something to fuel the story and to be a hook for the audience to want to watch. And that's when the idea OnlyFans started happening. And I had a friend of mine, I was telling you earlier today, or yesterday, that I had a friend of mine who started going out with a dancer around that time. And I remember him telling me, and I'm like, she was out of work, and then she started online. And I go, okay, that's, and the OnlyFans, I go, that's the hook, a dancer. That's interesting. People will tune in to watch that. And then they'll find out that the movie's a lot more than just about a dancer. I'm tied up here. About a dancer. It's about the human connection that people are looking to make and need to survive.
Well, you guys did a great job with that, and you know, and Trudy was amazing in that role, and you guys really delivered. You know, it's a hard thing to do because so many people I think are distracted with explosions and bombs and so many different things happening on screen, almost like to just, you know, again to just take away from your attention that it's not a great movie, you know.
Yeah.
But you guys went out there, you guys did. It was just people talking and just you know, there was some imagery obviously, but it was more about just the connection between two people and how she spoke to different, you know, I guess our customers, right?
Totally.
And there's no explosions, there's no bombs, and yet I couldn't keep my eyes off the.
There's my wife, Trudy.
Yeah,
that was the explosion, the bomb right there.
There you go. She is the bomb, right? Listen, it's a really difficult thing to do, I think. You know, and I was very impressed by that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the film, and I'm not saying this because I want to stay married. The film only works because of her and the other actors that are in it. But it's about her. It's about her character. If she couldn't pull this off, and that's a conversation that we had. Is like, do you want to go there as this character? And she was like, you know, it takes courage to be that exposed physically and emotionally. And the 24 hours of her life with everything so much at stake. And to add all that, the being sexy and on camera, it's a performance she's putting on. She's playing a role for each different person that she talks to. Right. She's playing a different role. She's to them who they want her to be, which that was the beauty of her character.
Right, whatever their fantasy is, she's
whatever their fantasy is, she's their fantasy girl, and she made it work. She made it work, and it only worked because her talent. And I wouldn't have made this movie if she wasn't the lead, because it wouldn't work without an actor that has the ability to look good on screen as his character, to be believable. Because I didn't want her to be like, a lot of times I see movies about dancers or about sex workers, and I don't buy them as that. Right. I see the actress who's playing the role. Right. That was one of the great things about Honora. When Honora came out, we had already shot the film, but I'm like, that's great. What that actress did is I bought her as a dancer. Yeah. I never thought of like, oh, this is an actor who's, no, she went for it. And Shuri did too. It's the same thing. She's believable as this. The biggest compliment that I received during the film was in our premiere in Barcelona. A lady came in a few minutes late to the film. So she's watching the whole movie without seeing the opening. And at the end of the film, she thought it was a documentary.
Oh, wow.
That she was watching. That somebody was following this person around and she was watching a documentary.
It was that real to her.
That was that real to her. She didn't realize it's all scripted and it's, you know, all performances. And that was the biggest compliment I got, because we shot it that way also because of the limitations of COVID.
Right. That's excellent, man. You guys did a great job. Listen, you're getting a great response, you know, and again, super impressive. And we'll have Trudy on here later, you know, but, you know, again, you guys are just kudos on that. That was
I appreciate it. And we share, you and I have a mutual, we share the same distribution company, your film Flux and Hot Summer Night.
Yeah, our film Flux just got distribution, and we just actually went streaming yesterday on Amazon. So
congrats, man. That's huge.
Appreciate the plug.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Flux is on Amazon.
I get a double feature.
There you go. Exactly, a double feature. Hate Thyself. Tell me a little something about that, because that
Hate Thyself, awesome. Man. Hate Thyself. That's a hell of a ride. Bigger film. Mm-hmm. I did that with Grandave. It's the second film I do with that production company. The other one I played one of the main bad guys. Mm-hmm. But this one I play the lead actor. It's about a serial killer. This cop who's very disturbed himself, and he's looking for the serial killer in Louisiana. And it's a dark film directed by Siobhan Macker. Ishvan Letbank produced it, and he was the one that brought me in, because I had worked with him in Final Vow, another film that came out earlier this year. Came out the same day as A Hot Summer Night. So that's my second film with this production company. And Hate Thyself is coming out mid-April or May, beginning of May. And it's got a great cast. Man, Tony Todd, it was one of Tony Todd's last film. Michael Pare, Happy Anderson is in it. Big cast of a lot of established actors, especially in the thriller horror genre.
How'd you feel? Oh, you had to travel for that one, right?
I shot that in Louisiana. I was a month in Louisiana.
So we were in contact, and then you kind of went ghost for a while because you had to shoot.
I went dark for that one. My character, he's a cop. He's a detective that moved from Miami, running away from his own demons, to Louisiana, thinking that, you know, he's going to have a fresh start with his wife. Cristina Urias plays my wife, who was the lead in Final Vow. Mm-hmm. So I had worked with her before. And he moves to Louisiana, and you know, you can't run away from your demons. And then he's in the middle of this this case of this missing kids, and it turns out there's a serial killer. Nobody believes there's a serial killer, but my character, who's already living in the darkness, is like, no, there's a serial killer, and he gets obsessed with this case, but the case consumes him as well. He's definitely very affected with the case, and it's a great ride. Siobhan, the director, made a hell of a film.
That's great. That's great. I've seen a bunch of things, obviously. I think my favorite film of yours, it was a trippy film, and we talked about it before. Oscar and I had connected before and did a podcast, and it's just like the audio for me was kind of wonky. So that's why I had you guys come in, and I wanted a little FaceTime. It's just much better.
Perfect.
Yeah. But The Boatman.
The Boatman.
The Boatman is excellent. It's a trippy film, man.
Thank you. Thank you. The Boatman. I love doing The Boatman. The Boatman there's a character that I really wanted to play. I remember meeting with Greg Morgan, the director, writer. He co-wrote the film, and he pitched me the idea of this project. He gave me the script. I read it. I came back with a bunch of notes because I envisioned this guy not talking a lot. And again, he's living in the Boatman is about coyote that's bringing people in from Mexico to the U.S., and he has a perfect record. If he says he'll bring you in, he'll bring you in. So The Boatman has a helicopter. That's a character in The Boatman as well. Yeah. Helicopter keeps following me around. So
that's right.
So the audience hears a helicopter. It's The Boatman here.
I had seen you before. I had seen you in Hangover Part 3. So I knew who you were when we met. But when I dove into who you really were as an actor, as a performer, is when I saw that was the first one I saw was The Boatman, and I was like, I need to get this guy like in a movie. I want to write something for this.
Oh man, thank you.
Because you were so excellent and you were so intense, and it's like one of those. I think I saw you do a podcast, and you said that you could probably have done The Godfather, and that would have been your first choice, right, to do The Godfather, to be Al Pacino's role.
Oh no, not The Godfather. Love The Godfather.
No, not The Godfather. I'm sorry, Scarface.
Scarface.
Yeah.
They said. I said, I think Manny Cabo, a buddy of yours, who was one of the stars of your film.
Yeah.
It was an incredible podcast as well.
Yeah.
I was a guest, and he asked me what role would be your dream role. And I'm like, the next one. But besides that, whoever casts me next, that's my dream role. Besides that, Scarface, a remake of Scarface would be awesome, because I'm Cuban.
Yeah.
My background's Cuban. I grew up in the 80s. I was a kid in the 80s. I mean, I wouldn't, of course, I'd be playing a role because I never lived that myself.
Right.
But I saw plenty of it, and I knew these characters, and that when you get to do something like that, you feel like you can bring something to it that's real, and you don't have to. It's not out there. It's not something you're reaching for. I knew these, and I'm Cuban, so I knew these characters.
I think that not only, again, you're Cuban, and you obviously, like I said, you sound like it. Also, you look the role. Like it put you like a nice suit.
I like that. Hey, you want to do a
clip the goatee? I tell you right now, you're gonna be like one of those villains that you root for.
Perfect.
That's awesome. But yeah, well, when going back to The Boatman again, not to dwell too much on The Boatman, but the ending's what really got me, because I always see things coming. I always see, like, I know when somebody's going to die. I know somebody gives a long hug and says, I love you. They're gone, right? So, I think the end of what The Boatman brought was the biggest surprise.
It's unexpected.
It's so unexpected, and I expect everything. So, again, I think it touched really on Greek mythology for the most part, right? And I was just like, that film surprised me. Not only is he, again, you're a badass on in front of the camera, and now behind the camera. But that film really, really impressed me. And,
thank you.
Because you see this coming, and I didn't, and I was very impressed.
Yeah, Greg Morgan did a great job directing that film, and it has that gritty desert feel, and crossing the border, and the characters. Even though a lot of them didn't have lines, that they brought so much pain and to the these extreme close-ups of their faces, the desperation of wanting and to cross over to the U.S. But the film has a twist. Like you said, if you know Greek mythology, you start picking up on it.
Yeah.
People who love Greek mythology loved L.A. Times, the review from L.A. Times loved the film. He raved about the film. And it was because he loved Greek mythology as well. He picked up on the coins and all that. Yeah. And my character kept running into dead people and, connecting with them in a weird, strange way.
Now, was it Cold Case?
Cold Case.
Yeah, that was a good role for you too. And I think that again, when I saw it again was after we had met, and I think I'd seen an episode years before. I just never put two and two together. But then out there you played a baseball player.
A baseball player from Cuba who was tortured in Cuba, and
Yeah.
Comes back to the U.S., yeah.
Yeah. And that was an intense role as well. What I liked about it is, again, something that we chopped up before, being somebody who played baseball for a long time,
Yeah.
and that fit you perfectly.
I played till I was 20, and being a baseball player, they wanted somebody who looked like he was really a baseball player.
Right.
And that role came to me in an interesting way. I had done a series called Kane, and then Kane got canceled, and I had a table read for. It was just a table read. We wanted to hear the words of a script that my cousin Julio Mechoso, who passed away, he was an excellent actor, tons of credit, had written. And Danny Pino, who was the star of Cold Case, was there. And we were playing, I think we were playing brothers or best friends or something like that in the table read. And we had chemistry right away. It's like just reading a script. And at the end of that table read, Danny tells me, hey, man, I wrote a script, an episode of Cold Case about a Cuban baseball player. I'd love for you to play that role, but I'm not casting it. Could you come in and audition? I'll get you the audition. And obviously I'm rooting for you, but would you come in and read for it? And I went in, and I felt like it's one of those auditions that you go in and you're like, you got to give it to me now. And literally I auditioned, and by the time I got to the car, I had booked the role.
Beautiful.
And that's the only time that's ever happened to me. That has never happened to me. And I got worked with Danny that day, and then cut 2 years later, we do Unión de Reyes, and just recently, and again, man, like little connections. Andy Garcia was in the table read for that script that my cousin wrote, because he and Andy were best friends. And cut 2 years later, and I just worked with Andy Garcia and Danny Pino in Mexico doing a film called Pedro Pan, which is a big film.
I've heard a lot about that film.
Yeah, that film is an incredible cast, and it's like, I'm just blessed to be part of this casting. And it's one of those things, again, that came out of nowhere. And Eli Ballesteros is the casting director and called me in. I read on Zoom while I was doing a film with Sarah Silverman in Louisiana and in Kentucky. Next thing I know, I'm wrapping that film, and I'm on my way to Mexico to shoot. This career is like, you're a gypsy. You don't know where you're going next.
Yeah. It's kind of cool though, because you get to travel a lot, but it's got to be, like I said, I was kind of touring when I was with our film Flux, and we had all the film festivals and everything, and we did, we didn't get invited to Sundance, but we ended up going to Sundance and then Kentucky and then Pennsylvania and then Jersey, and there's all different places, and then Kansas City. So I can imagine, and then, mind you, I was doing a week here, 4 days there, again, just traveling a lot. To be away from home, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I love I love working on location, because location is a character in itself, I think. Right. And when you get to spend time on the location, you start you start getting to know the area, the place, the people. Right. And for me, at least, it feeds me the way I take in the location. Like when Hate Thyself, that I was shooting Baton Rouge, and it was the winter, and it was cold, and it was raining, and it was like mud. I was walking in a lot of mud, and I got a cold, and I bring that to the character. That wasn't planned for me when I had a script, but once I'm there, and I saw at the time I was shooting, there was like it felt like there was a lot of unemployment in Baton Rouge, and so that was part of, I'm a cop here, I'm a detective, I'm investigating crimes, and there's a lot of land in Baton Rouge. And I'm like, yeah, I can see stuff like that happening. Nothing bad about Baton Rouge, but I can see that stuff, at least the feel that I had while being there. And that's something that you can't plan. I can do research, but you actually get it once you're on location and you're being fed by the location itself. But having said that, I was missing my wife. I was missing my home, our cat.
What's the cat's name?
Mochi. Who's in the film? He's in A Hot Summer Night. If you watch if you like cats and you don't care about the film, watch A Hot Summer Night, and you'll see an amazing performance by this cat, this tuxedo cat.
I'm a cat person, but I have a lot of allergic conditions, so I can't have any more. But I'm a cat person.
Yeah, me too.
And if you see, I have a scar right here. I got bit by a dog when I was a kid.
So you don't like dogs?
So I stay away from dogs. We've come to we're okay.
An agreement now.
Yeah, we're chill. Yeah, like I said.
As long as they're little.
But I had a.
You never know.
Right.
That was Geraldo Productions, directed by Ruben Islas. I had done another film with them called Seventh and Union, a great film that's on Amazon as well. Omar Chaparro is the lead, which is a huge Mexican actor. And I had done that film with them during COVID. It was the first film shot in LA. So I'm going off the subject a little bit, but I did Seventh and Union. And I had a great experience working with him. And then a couple of years later, Ruben Islas calls me and says, hey, I wrote this script called Final Vow. and it's about a nun who's avenging the kidnapping of these girls from adoption place in Mexico. And I want you to play like the main bad guy. There's two main bad guys, my boss and myself. I'm like kind of like the killer. I want you to play the role. And I looked at the script and I thought it was an important story that he was telling about this that's based on reality. It's not a true story, but it's based on reality, right. Everything that takes place. And so I played this character. He's a killer. He's not a nice guy. So I did that film in Mexico with him, with Ruben, and Ish was the DP of that film, and Ish ends up producing Hate Thyself. Wow. And Rubén Islas is the executive producer of that film. So if I would have like burned bridges doing one film, I wouldn't have gotten the other two films. So I say, be nice to people when you're working, because you never know what's going to happen in the future and who you're going to end up working with. No. Like Ish was the DP of Final Vow, and he ends up being one of the main producers of Hate Thyself, and he's the one that brings me in. So, but Final Vow, Rubén Islas directed that. He did an amazing job. And hopefully I'll be doing another project with them as well in the very near future. But it's also on Tubi and Amazon, and it's a good ride as well.
You tend to move seamlessly between movies and TV, right? And then going behind the camera. I do not stability. I've been on the screen, and I don't enjoy it, but I'll do it if I have to. If we can afford to pay an actor for the day, because that's indie filmmaking, right? I don't enjoy it, but you seem to move seamlessly between the two. What do you like more?
I like both of them. Actually, I like both of them. I started as an actor. So I was an actor a long time before I ever directed, and I fell into directing. I started directing because of a film that my wife wrote called Pretty Rosebud. That's out right now. It's been out for a while on Amazon. In Tubi, you can see it, yeah.
Okay,
and in YouTube, you can find it. So Pretty Rosebud, we're looking for a director. I was going to act in the film, act in the film, and co-producer. And we couldn't find the right director because it's a tricky story. It's about Pretty Rosebud. It's about a working professional woman who's married, very unhappy in her marriage, and she starts being unfaithful. So we couldn't find a director that could tell this story, and what we kept running into is like they kept judging her. Well, I don't like her. And I'm like, no, I get that what she's doing is unlikable, but is it going to get in the way of you being able to tell this story in an objective way and tell the story? And that's how the more time I spent with the script, the more I started seeing how this movie would work, and the fine line of her very tricky performance again in her part, because she had to be likable. She had to be a likable character doing unlikable things, and that's hard. And she pulled it off beautifully. So that's the first. I directed that, and that was a feature. So I jumped in right into a feature. I had not directed anything before that, and it went well. But we were talking about that. The first time you direct, there's so much responsibility, the stress of directing. I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to do this again.
So stressful.
But then years went by, and then at some point I started getting that I was acting, and then I'm like, I think I want to direct again. And then I directed a short called Just a Man and a Woman. So after Pretty Rosebud, it was a while. I did The Bold Man. I did a movie called Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo with Joe Shanis, great director from Miami. I did a bunch of stuff. The Hangover 3. I worked a lot acting after I directed Pretty Rosebud. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to direct again because it was so stressful. I had never been so stressed. There's a part of me that liked the actual directing. I liked being in charge of everything that I got to say. How the color, what you're wearing, at least the way I direct, what you're wearing, the background wall. We got to paint the walls. We got to do this. We got, that. I like that working with actors because I'm an actor. I love actors. So I'm amazed when I'm directing. I'm amazed by what actors do in front of the camera. I forget that I'm an actor. And I find them going places, and I'm like, when I see my wife, Judy, doing things, I'm like, God, how does she do that? I forget that this is what I do. I'm like, how does she do this? And I'm glad I'm not the one doing it, that I get to sit here and enjoy and direct and say, action, cut. And if anything, I give a little tweak, or whatever, make sure you're, playing to the camera or whatever. But after Pretty Rosebud, I wasn't sure I wanted to direct again. But then I got that itch, and then I wrote this film, Just a Man and a Woman. That's kind of a thriller, sexy thriller. And it was for me to star with her. But the closer I got to production, I'm like, I don't think I want to act. I want to be able to show up on set with my pajamas on and a baseball cap and not worry about how am I going to look in front of a camera.
Like me.
Or give a performance. Exactly. So I called my buddy Roberto Sanchez, who my wife didn't know that well. She knew his work, but she had met him, but she didn't know him that well. And man, and we made a beautiful short film that played in a bunch of film festivals. So I got that itch again because then that film and this is the first film that I had written, and hear my words, them saying my words, and having two really good actors on camera, doing your film. That was a great experience. And it was in one location. So I'm like, okay, that's a good formula for the next film to try to keep a little contained, which is what I tell everybody now when they're looking to do an indie film without a big budget. I go, try to keep it as contained as possible. Location moves are, those are hours that you're moving, having people move from one place to another. That's money. And
insurance and sticks and
all that. Yeah. So we did Just a Man and a Woman, and then we did a couple other shorts for other people, for us, but it was with other people involved. And then that's when I did Hot Summer Night.
All right, so, I could talk to you all day, bro. And usually we have to kick each other off the phone, so we don't want to keep everybody here all night. However, tell me about your next project. I'd love to hear about it. What's it called? Principiantes?
Hey, you were able to say that. Los Principiantes, the beginners. Los Principiantes. We're going to be filming in Peru.
Nice.
I'll be there all summer long filming. I'm one of the series regulars on the TV series with an incredible cast, amazing cast of Peruvian actors and some international actors. I'm part of the international cast. And I can't say much about the series, but it was written by Eduardo Carrillo, which again, I had worked with Eduardo he was directing a film that I did many, many, many years ago in Miami called Suicide Blonde. Cut to 20-something years later, I'm now working with him again in this series that he had mentioned the idea of this.
Right. Like
20 years ago to me, he mentioned that one day he's going to write this TV series about Los Principiantes that takes place in a university in Peru. And I play a fun, edgy, colorful character.
Right.
It's a dream, to be part of a series regular on a show and be part of this cast.
Awesome. Brother, I thank you for coming here. My aim, my focus, as always, is Latino. You know that. I'm always trying to push our people. And I hope that I've written a few things for you too. And I'd love to one day work together.
Hey, man, that'd be a pleasure. Well, I told you, I love your writing. So,
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Just let me know where.
So that's it for us. Oscar, any final words?
Oh, man, just you said it. Catch our film, A Hot Summer Night, on Tubi, Amazon, Google Play.
There he is, a man of few words. Once again, he's very consistent. Started strong with a few words and ended. Again, I appreciate you, man. Like I said, I know it was a challenge to get here. And we are Château Bow Wow, and we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for coming out, guys. Good night. Stay blessed.